These men are Jamaican tenant farmers. More people are employed on the land than in any other sector of the Jamaican economy. Nevertheless, people do leave the land and move to the cities and towns, creating problems of overcrowding and unemployment. At the same time, a growing population increases the need for more farming land. To help solve the problem, the Jamaican government has introduced a program of leasing land to small farmers and providing them with expert help and services. Agricultural extension officers instruct the farmers in the most efficient techniques and show them how to use equipment that will not only make their jobs easier, but help them to increase their output and increase their earnings. The first tenant farmer project began on bauxite lands. This is the Alcan alumina plant, one of several companies engaged in bauxite mining in the island. Bauxite is the island's main mineral resource and chief money earner. Bauxite, the red earth from which aluminum is derived, is spread over 1,000 square miles. That is a quarter of the island's area. But while bauxite is Jamaica's greatest export earner, much of the land with bauxite deposits is also good agricultural land. There is also in bauxite areas a high proportion of peasant farmers who grow the island's food crops. In Jamaica, the largest single category of workers is involved in farming and agricultural production. As Jamaica's population grows, it becomes more and more necessary that it becomes self-sufficient in food production, and that it keeps its rural population from deserting the land and drifting into the towns. But these children, tomorrow's farmers, will only return to the soil if there is soil to return to. His children will only remain on the soil if he and the thousands of farmers like him can make enough money from farming to give his family a comfortable life. Only if his standards of living is as good as or better than that of his friends who run off to the towns will he and his family remain on the land. But lots of the good soil is earmarked for bauxite mining. However, the government of Jamaica requires that all land that is mined be restored to a state which can be used for agriculture after the bauxite is extracted. This means that the valuable topsoil must be stripped and put aside for later use. In a very real sense, bauxite mining could have become a threat to the livelihood of Jamaica's farmers if mining operations were conducted in such a way as to leave the mined-out areas unfit for agricultural use, for the mining operations leave huge cavities behind. The bauxite companies own thousands of acres of good farming land, and to keep as much of it in production as possible, a system of leasing it to tenant farmers has been devised. The tenants must own some land for themselves elsewhere, no matter how little, as no houses or permanent structures are allowed on the land that will one day be mined. When a man applies to the company for a lease, he is interviewed using a point system. If others want land in the same area, the applicant who secures the highest number of points is selected. The points are given in such a way as to indicate who has the greater need for land and who has the greater responsibility. Tenant properties are inspected before lease, and they are expected to preserve the property in good condition. Efforts are being made to see that no more than 50 acres of land are being mined at any one time. Alcan rents some 21,500 acres of its land to 4,600 tenants at $3 per acre per year. Mined out ore bodies cover an area of more than 3 to 10 acres. Reclamation begins with the replacement of the topsoil which had been removed before mining began. Reclamation takes 7 to 10 days for a 3-acre area. It is complete when the soil is replaced to a depth of at least 12 inches. After reclamation comes rehabilitation. This is the process of getting a crop of grass to grow on the reclaimed land. When this is accomplished, the land can be farmed again. The crops that tenants grow are related to the ecology of the area in which their land is located. Most farmers in the central area of Jamaica have a water problem and have to rely on rainfall for irrigation purposes. As a result, research is underway to test various methods of building water catchments using different materials. At the same time, directed by extension officers, tenant farmers have organized such self-help projects as constructing water storage tanks, tractor services, and the construction of access roads. Besides technical help from extension workers, tenant farmers can also get small loans from the government through their parish councils and larger loans from the Jamaica Development Bank. In the town, farmers get together over a drink. Ideas are exchanged in an atmosphere of friendly relaxation. To assist the tenant farmers in farming and taking good care of their crops, extension officers visit them regularly. The work of the Bauxite company's extension officers dovetails with that of the government's extension officers. Tenants are organized on a group basis, 8 to 20 in a group. These groups all have different levels of farming skill, and it is the job of the extension officers to upgrade these skills. There is a fertilizer credit scheme and an implement loan scheme, whereby such tools as hillside plows and blower pumps are loaned to farmers free of cost. The tenant farmer scheme has sought to bring dignity to the profession of farming. Since the Alcan tenant scheme began in 1948, more and more people have turned to farming, and the scheme has been copied not only by other bauxite companies, but by the government of Jamaica in its own land lease program. The average tenant farmer is about 49 years old. His standard of living has changed over the years, and many actually gave up jobs in the towns to return to farming. Some have prospered. Some have bought houses in the towns. Others have improved their homes in the village. Some, starting from one room, have extended and enlarged it as their financial circumstances improved. Depending on their location, tenant farmers produce a variety of crops. But whatever they grow, they are encouraged to produce crops that mature in 1 year rather than a longer term. They have a guaranteed market through the government's Agricultural Marketing Corporation. Today, throughout Jamaica, there are several thousand tenant farmers occupying over 70,000 acres of leased bauxite lands. They produce a great quantity of food every year. Jamaican tenant farmers and their families have something to be happy and proud about. Not only are they helping to cut down the need for imported food, they are also improving their own standards of living. They face the future knowing that for them at least, tomorrow will be better